Me pēwhia tātou e mōhio pū kia tātou anō. Mā te whakataki i ngā whakapapa, mā te wānanga, mā te aro atu ki ngā kōrero, ki ngā taonga tuku iho au tātou tīpuna. Tūake aku waiwai ki te tihi o ōperu maunga, whakawhiti aku kamo ki te moana o Reporua, he mokopuna tēnei no Ngāti Rangi ki Reporua, Te Hei Māori ora. Kia ora, my name's Carly. In my daily life, I am a storyteller. I work to normalise our kōrero pūrākau in your everyday environment. When I think of the collection of taonga that are held across Aotearoa, but also across the world, in these boxes and cases and in specialised rooms, I feel a sense of grief. Ko tāku, ko te mea nui hei whakamahana i nei taonga, i nei kōrero tuku iho, me ngā waihotanga ngā tīpuna. We are a new generation guided by those who came before us. The aho tapu, once woven by our tīpuna, are now in our hands and in the hands of collections puta noa i te ao. Our mātauranga, our histories, our stories and our taonga guide us to understand how to walk backwards into the future. First things first at Te Whānau, we need to understand the basics. How did our taonga become a part of these collections? I'm here at Te Papa Tongarewa, and I'm here to meet Isaac Tawa, a Māori curator. I want to know from him how many taonga are in the collections, where they came from, and who collected them. Let's go.
Ko Isaac Te Awa toku ingoa, ko au he uri o Kati Mamo i Kaitahu Waitaho Hoki ki te taha o toku mātua no ngā puhi ki whangaroa hau. Ko au he kaitiaki o he tēma mātauranga Māori. So, I am a curator mātauranga Māori here at Te Papa. I also am a practitioner of rāranga. So I learned tāniko and whatu from my koro, and that is the basis of my practice and my mahi here at Te Papa. So there is a lot of taonga here, but to really go into how they got here, you have to go into the history of collecting. And primarily for Māori and Pacific people, that was Pākehā middle-aged white men who were ethnographers, bibliophiles, and researchers of the time period. So it's not natural for Māori to want to store their taonga in one place. They were really interested in the narratives for how they seen Māori. The noble savage, the warrior, the dusky maiden. And what that means is in our collections, we see a lot of taonga that are collected in terms of maurako weapons. We see a lot of beautiful whakairo. We see lots of beautifully carved pieces of toki and pounamu. What we don't see is anything to do with kids' toys or wahine. So what that means is we're left with a collection that is already biased towards how Pākehā perceived us. So to try tell Māori stories out of those taonga is the challenge. Our people aren't static. We've always moved, we're always dynamic, and we always evolve to our environment and our practices. I believe that our taonga carry the living mauri of our art forms. So to bring in practitioners, whānau, hapu and iwi who can use taonga to create their own art forms, to share their own kōrero and stories, it's about bringing people inside the building and connecting with things that they've been so detached from. I think that's what I love most about my job. Recently, we had a hui that somebody came in and viewed, and they recognised it as something that their koro had made, but they also were able to tell us that there were 6 of them that were made. So we had 1, but there's 5 more out there. They know one's in Auckland, but it tells a complete kōrero and a complete whakapapa. We have another practitioner who's currently working with a hinaki to revive that practice in Whanganui, where they've forgotten how to make hinaki out of the materials found in Te Taiao. So those are the beautiful stories and the real why that our collections have for our people. Well, e hoa, we've talked a lot about taonga and access, and I think the best way for us to actually show you how that works is to actually go and see some taonga. Should we go?
Yeah.
We're going to go inside Wharepora and have a look at some taonga. I'll kick us off with the karakia, and then we'll go from there.
Cool. I don't mind.
Tēnei te aro o te pakātū, tēnei te aro o te pakarewa, tēnei te aro paurewa i tūnei, tākina mai ki tēnei tapu wainuku, tākina mai ki tēnei tapu wairangi, tākina mai ki tēnei te aro paurewa. Kia pau tēnā, toka, tiranga kura ki taha tu o te rangi, aue ki hui te marama, hui te ore e hui e, tai ki e.
Tēnā. Wow.
All right, well, welcome to Wharepora e hoa.
Okay.
So on the table in front of us, we have a variety of taonga, a selection of some of the few from Te Papa. All of these taonga are on provenance, which is museum talk for that we don't know where they're from.
Wow.
But if we look at taonga carefully, they can give us clues. So this one here is off a Cook journey. Even though we don't know where it's from, what we can tell from the whakairo and the elongated upoko is that it's likely from Te Tokerau, Northland. Even though we don't know the full story of a lot of these taonga, they carry their own whakapapa. One of the things that irritates me is that a lot of the taonga from Cook journeys were given to Tupaia. So if Tupaia is the common connection between a lot of these taonga, why do we still refer to them as the Cook collection or the Banks collection? Tupaia is the whakapapa or the hononga back to Māori, so it returns its own mana to these taonga. This is the newest taonga on the table. Hauhere is the inner bark of the lacebark tree, and it's not commonly used in the north to make many taonga. It's more common in the south. What I love about this poi is that if you look really closely, what can you see on the inside?
Oh, like paper.
So it's newspaper. So even though we don't know where this poi is from, the time, the date, and the region it's from is wrapped up inside it. We just don't have the technology to get it without damaging the taonga.
And so whānau must come in here with you. Can you tell me about how they react or some of the responses?
So I think the first time people come in and see taonga it's overwhelming. Like, it's just been so long since that people have been able to have a connection with taonga that to see so many of them in front of them is something they'll never forget. But being in the position to actually guide people through those journeys into their own taonga and their own whakapapa and their own stories kind of reconnects them to Te Tahawa Māori. We've been so separated from our whakapapa to our taonga that we've forgotten how to make a lot of these. So at the moment, these taonga, though their lives are being artificially extended by being in the museum, are also providing an invaluable resource to teach our people. So taonga like these are helping to rebuild us culturally as a people.
Yeah, when I look at these taonga and I think about the future, I really want for my mokopuna to be able to come to a place like this and feel as though he whare wānanga tēnei, that there is space for them to be here with their tipuna and with their taonga, and that they can openly be in relationship with our taonga.
I have to remind myself that 30 years ago, our people didn't have any kaimahi or anyone working in museums to speak to them. So it's a long process about providing avenues for our people to come in, for avenues for our people to visit. But more importantly is by having kaimahi and Māori in institutions like this, is that whatever the future for these taonga looks like, whether they return to their people, whether practitioners can come in and use them, whether they can rebirth these taonga and their Māori as new taonga, is that that's guided by Māori. And that can't happen if we're not here to have these kōrero and to have these discussions. As institutions move more towards accountability, it's a discussion that we're going to have to keep bringing up and keep bringing up and keep bringing up, because we can't let them forget that our taonga are here, or that these are intrinsically tied to our identity. And as we move to the future, I want to see these taonga used to teach. I want to see them used
to rebirth. I want to see them inspire, and I want to see them out in the community again. And that's the goal. That's part of what Mana Motuhake looks for Māori, is that we have the power to make those decisions. And I think it's something that we're moving towards.
It's painful to reflect on the impact our colonial histories have had on these taonga. There are many taonga that remain unknown to us by name because of the ways early missionaries and settlers engaged with our mātauranga. It's up to us to relearn these techniques, to reweave these kōrero, and to be the here that bind our taonga tuku iho to the modern world. No doubt, there is still a long way to go. That's all the kōrero for now, but come back next time where we'll be meeting Aringa Toi Māori and learning about how they're using taonga collections like Te Papa as inspiration in their own contemporary toy practice, reviving mātauranga Māori around jewellery making.
All I want is to fill my mouth, all I want is to fill my lungs, all I want is to fill my heart, but I'm choking on the land that made me. My blood is the rivers, my blood is the lakes, my blood is the ocean, my blood is this place, but blood from both sides resides behind.